Welcome to the 8 Billion Project, where we're on a mission to make an impact by discovering and sharing the purpose of every person on this planet. I'm your host, Lisa Florida. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 8 Billion Podcast. I am your host, Lisa Florida, and today I have a special guest. I have Katie Cawood. Katie was born in Southeast Michigan and graduated from Michigan State University. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in animal science. After graduating, she moved to Maryland in 2002 for a position at a horse farm. However, that position didn't pan out quickly after arriving there. Instead of going home to Michigan, she decided to make a go of it for her own in an unfamiliar state. She got a temp administrative job and within a few months was hired into her first human resource position at a nonprofit. This led to a 12-year-long career in the field, handling everything from hiring to benefits to professional development for various government contractors in the DC metro area and obtaining multiple industry recognized certifications. In 2015, when her employer was downsizing, she found herself with a choice: look for another HR job or go a different direction. And sure enough, shortly thereafter, she passed the Virginia real estate exam and began a new career in real estate that fall and hasn't looked back since. She serves buyers, sellers, investors, and renters in Virginia, Maryland, and DC area, and is a go-to referral agent in her office for many other agents around the country because she focuses all her energy ensuring the best possible experience for her clients, regardless of budget. Katie recently purchased her own home in the town of Purcellville, Virginia, that she shares with her two children, ages 12 and 9, and their 19-year-old cat and 2 goldfish. Welcome, Katie Cawood, to the 8 Billion Podcast. Thanks for being on the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, sorry about that. I think the audio went out for a second. No, I've been excited actually, Katie. So a lot of people, if you guys want to know how I know Katie Cawood, we are both in the mastermind together with Brandon T. Adams, and we are the only 2 ladies in that group with all men. So it's been really fun. How have you? Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New Year to you.
Okay, so let me start with this. How did you? For the most part, I see, we're with each other every Monday, but how has the mastermind changed for you?
It kind of got me back on track to what I knew I needed to be doing in the first place with my social media and video marketing presence. I kind of, like a lot of us, went into kind of survival mode during COVID, and before that I had been doing really well with it. And I just kind of stopped doing it for a while. And I knew it was a whole bunch of change going on in my life with buying my house and everything. And I knew joining the mastermind group and would help me get back into my groove. And so far it has. So
nice. Take us back to, okay, as far as your real estate career goes, could you expand a little bit on that? I know that I read your bio, but could you tell us a little bit more about your real estate career?
Well, I got my Virginia real estate license in September of 2015. And then in May of 2016, got my Maryland license. And then a few months later, about a year and a half later, so I went ahead and got my DC license.
Okay. And is it pretty common in your area? Because I'm completely opposite coast of you. So I'm West Coast. And in most cases, because California is so big, most of the, I'm licensed in the whole state of California, but I serve probably 4 counties at most.
Right.
For you in that area, is it common for a lot of real estate agents to have multiple state real estate licenses?
Yes, because the DC metro area tends to be so condensed, and from a size standpoint, the District of Columbia itself is not that big. And there's one big freeway that runs the entire circumference around the city that runs through Maryland and Virginia. The Beltway is what everyone calls it. So it's pretty common for a lot of agents to just kind of cross the bridge or cross the river, the Potomac. It's kind of slices right down the middle there, and serve clients on both sides. However, a lot of my brokerage office is based in Fairfax, Virginia, which is a fair distance from the Maryland border. So a lot of the agents I know there are not licensed elsewhere. So I am, and that serves to be a large part of my business is working on referral in Maryland and DC.
That's cool. Now, really quick, I'm going to go to that referral based business because mine also is a very high volume of referral based business, and that's rare in most cases. However, let me ask you, how did you choose from going from HR industry into real estate?
My real estate agent actually did. I had my husband at the time and I had just bought our home in Leesburg, Virginia, and I've got to be really good friends with my buyer's agent at the time. Her name was Debbie. She worked for the local Keller Williams office at the time. And we stayed pretty close friends after I bought my home with her. Both of our daughters were riding ponies, so it was a mutual friendship that way. But when I told her all the trouble that I was having with my career at the time, and kind of the crossroads I was at, she encouraged me to talk to her team leader at her office. His name was Rick. And she said, you really have the personality, she felt, to make a really great real estate agent. And honestly, the skill set I had from my HR career was remarkably similar to what I would need to do in real estate. So right. It's just now, instead of a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing, it tends to be a little more spread out, but I get to make my own schedule now. And I'm dealing with, major life events for people, which is exactly what I did in human resources before, just on a different scale.
So actually, that's interesting that you say that, because I was part of the Keller Williams network before. And what was really neat about Keller Williams is that we would recruit other agents from other, what do you call this? Other either brokerages and even just people, because of the Keller Williams, the way their system works. So it was really amazing. A lot of the best training that I've ever had as a real estate agent came from Keller Williams. I have to say that.
I have to say, I've been with 2 different brokerage offices, but both were Keller Williams. And the level of openness and sharing in the family camaraderie within Keller Williams is really impressive to me. And I think that's what drew me to Keller Williams to begin with, and why I'm still there. And I can't really, I don't know if I would change umbrellas, really.
Yeah. They literally, because we ended up with Keller Williams, I think starting in not in 95, like 2005. But it was amazing because, remember, they started out in Texas first. That's where like the headquarters is. And then and then we flew over to Texas and we learned everything about their internal systems. But from beginning to end, that Gary Keller and his whole executive team wanted to make the best real estate company. Until this day, I really do feel like they've got it down. Everything from culture down to, the way like they teach the agents how to operate, and then the compensation plans. It's just really, definitely. It's been really amazing learning from such, from legendary people, you'd say, in the real estate industry.
I think it's kind of like mandatory reading for all real estate agents, regardless of brokerage, is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book.
Yes.
Gary wrote and Gary and Jay wrote. So that I think I see more agents who've never been in Keller Williams at all, like ever, and they all have that book on their shelf for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. And
Bible.
Yeah. And then another thing too is my son was like, I want to learn about real estate investing, right? And then he just went to Barnes and Nobles, came back with the blue book. And then I said, hey, we have like 20 of those, right, stacked away somewhere. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, because we came from Keller Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, they literally wrote the book on how to be a successful agent, no matter where you are.
Well, let me ask you, Katie. When I met you, your history in real estate has been pretty impressive, especially for being 5 years. What do you love most about real estate?
Handing first-time buyers keys for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
That is the biggest, I can't even properly describe for you the feeling that gives me. And just knowing that I'm literally changing a life by handing them keys at the settlement table.
Right.
It's so cool to watch. And I had an opportunity not during COVID year, but in 2019, handing keys to a first-time buyer, but for a new townhouse in Maryland. And her whole family came to settlement, the whole family, her parents, her brothers and sisters, and they were from Africa originally. So they're all immigrants. And this was the first time anyone in her family had ever owned a home.
Wow.
So they brought food. It was a party at settlement, and her whole family basically was going to live there with her. So this was literally their family home, and seeing that generational change happen was it was remarkable. And the fact that they wanted to include me in the party, and then they had another housewarming party at the home about a month later, and they had me there, and they stood me up in front of all of their family and friends to thank me. And I'm like, no, really, I just did my job. It's okay. But that was really moving for me, and an experience I won't ever forget.
It's interesting that you say that, because my real estate and my real estate career started from my mother. And I was just on a podcast yesterday, and he's like, what, and we are, I told him, I said, we're about an 80 to 90% referral based business. Yeah. And he's like, what makes you different? And I said, it's because of how you treat the clients, and it's the lives that you change.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. If I have, in just doing my job, I mean, there are plenty of agents out there who just kind of go through their little checklist, and they just check the boxes and just get the house sold or get the buyer in. But I like to think that I develop relationships with people and maintain those relationships. I actually care about every one of my clients.
Yep.
I want to know that their lives have improved, or I like being involved and seeing how things change for them when they start owning their own home and having that security. I don't know, that it makes me a good people person, I guess. And I consider myself rather introverted, but this is kind of like my outer thing.
Right. Now, okay. So the next question becomes, how did you build a referral based business? Like, what was it? Because a lot of people say that is a very hard business to build, and it takes many years. And granted, you have 5 years underneath your belt, but it's still a very difficult, task to complete.
It is. It started when I got my Maryland license, in about 6 months after I got my Virginia license, because I had lived in Maryland before moving to Virginia for 12 years plus before moving to Virginia. So a friend of mine who wanted to buy a house in Maryland asked me if I had my license there. I said no, but they said they were going to wait for me to get a license there because they wanted me to help them. They only wanted me to help them. So I did what anyone would do and hurried up and studied and took my exam. And a few months later, we were out shopping for houses, and they bought with me. And then they told their friends who told their friends. And then the other agents in my office started hearing that I was licensed there and started working right away. So they started. And Maryland, compared to where I live in Northern Virginia, is very close. It's, like I said, it's right across the Potomac River. So I can be in most places in suburban Maryland within an hour's drive of where I live. And so it's very common for buyers who might not be able to afford certain areas to try to cross the river and look in neighborhoods in Maryland, because it would be more, in some areas it's more affordable than Northern Virginia. But with the excellent commuting, area in the metro system and everything, it's, as long as you're within a certain distance of where you're working, it really doesn't matter what state you live in.
Right.
Because this whole area is very tight. Um, so it was really just making sure all of my friends knew that I was licensed in Maryland and then conversely in Virginia, but then making sure all the agents in my office knew that I was licensed in Maryland. That and once one person uses you as a referral agent, they'll keep coming back to you over and
Got
over.
it.
So
And so that became the reason why also that helped you leverage your real estate business, was being able to be licensed.
Yeah, and then and now all my friends who are Virginia agents, when they're scouring all the Facebook groups looking for clients for themselves for referral, because there's a lot of social media exchange of referrals for agents in different Facebook groups. So whenever they happen to see any other agent anywhere in the country, they're looking for their own referrals for Virginia mostly, or West Virginia. But when they see someone asking for a Maryland agent, they start tagging me immediately and messaging that agent saying, "Hey, I've got a great person for you." So not only are they sending me clients directly, but they're out there looking for me as well, because I've taken great care of their clients, and we all just like to do the right thing for each other. So.
Yeah. And would you say it's kind of like a knack or like a personality thing that you have to be able to, I feel that it's true. It's the ability to go over and beyond. And I said this in the podcast that I was in yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you can detail it out, but it's like you'll go through all of these things in order to get a transaction closed. Do you want to explain? Maybe let me ask you, what's the craziest thing you ever did too? I want people to see what it's like to be a real estate agent.
I have chlorinated a well for a client before in the middle of the night to get their house to sell. They had done it a couple times themselves, and we kept retesting the well water, and it kept still testing positive for bacteria. So I spent an evening out in my truck with a hose running to the well and a bottle of bleach, chlorinating a well. And I sat out in my truck with my client. We were watching an episode of Handmaid's Tale, waiting for the cycle to finish up. And then we had to flush out the water in the house. And then the next day or two later, when they tested again, it was fine.
Oh, see? Okay. Yeah. We've rented trucks and moved clients at night. We've packed them up and done things. People will never realize the life of a real estate agent, as glamorous as it seems, right?
People would always ask me, I used to drive an F-150 pickup truck, and they're like, "Well, why do you drive that around for your clients?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I've moved mattresses and all kinds of stuff in my truck. I've rented U-Haul trailers to move stuff for people. And you need four-wheel drive, because in the wintertime, your client still wants to see houses in an ice storm, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You still have to go do that walkthrough when there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, and you have to get there. So I always drive a vehicle with four-wheel drive, and just you just have to get it done.
You do. That's the name of the game with real estate, because no one else is going to get it done if you don't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, shoveling sidewalks and stairs in the snow, and there's not much we won't do for our clients. I'm an individual agent. I'm not on a team, so I can't rely on a bunch of other people to chip in and help me out all that often.
Right.
I have a few people in different areas. If I called them up at the last minute, like for some emergency junk hauling from a listing, because the client moved out and left all their junk out in front of their townhouse, and then had to get that taken care of.
And that's another thing. People will never know the extension of our networks between contractors, between junk hauling, between title. We're escrow, huh?
Sometimes it's just a teenager you hire to remove junk, and say, "I'm going to give you, if you can get rid of this today, like in the next 2 hours, you got $200 in your pocket, dude. Just take care of it." And it's amazing how fast it happens.
Right? I mean, even for me too, I think we had closed the escrow. We were the listing agents, and they had to
Mhm.
be out, and they had so much stuff. I went to Home Depot.
Yeah.
I hired some people. I was just like, we're
Yeah.
cleaning this house from 9 to 5, and I just
Mhm.
bought a bunch of trash bags, and we did whatever we could.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I've
that's
gotten angry calls from HOAs before saying your client left X, Y, and Z out front. They've got to get rid of it, and the client's out of state now. They're not even in the area, and so nagging them isn't going to do you any good. But you're the agent, and it's your sign out front, so that's the phone number they're going to call to complain, and you just have to take care of it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me ask you. When we hit the pandemic, real estate was okay in your area. Was real estate essential?
Yes,
It
in
was. So
Maryland,
you
DC,
were
and
able to work through.
yes,
Okay, and it still continues to be.
yes.
Oh, okay. So that didn't really hinder your business.
It didn't initially when there was the initial shutdown. Obviously, no one was doing anything. We weren't doing. No one was doing showings. It completely shut down open houses, and it really tightened up. Like only so many people allowed at settlement. And a lot of times agents aren't even allowed at settlement still at
Yeah.
different offices because they're trying to control how many people are in the room. There was a serious halt on my business, I know, and on a lot of other people's businesses. That first 30 days in March, like between mid-March when the shutdown in Virginia and this area happened, and like mid-April or so, and then for me started to pick back up. Where people were more comfortable wearing masks and social distancing and making sure that we're not bringing, their brother and their three cousins and their mom's, dad's, uncle's neighbor to their house showings.
Or to the final walkthroughs.
Yes, I was already comfortable doing like virtual walkthroughs, like on Skype or whatever, video messaging, or just video recording a walkthrough myself and sending people a video. I do have the occasional referral, like military folks who aren't able to see or go shopping for their house until they move in. Like they're out of country and they need to buy a new house where they're being stationed or where they're being transferred to. And I've already done that before, so this was really not all that different.
Yeah,
doing it in the pandemic, but now that I was going through and doing some video tours for people, so they wouldn't have to come to initial showings, and it would kind of save them the effort of having to come out and see it and shop around. They would only come out if what they saw on the video looked good enough for them.
Yes,
and then
very true.
Then they would come and see it, say yes, absolutely, and then we would, write the offer. Or in some cases, they bought it clearly off the video, and they didn't even see it in person until they moved in after closing.
Yeah, had a few of those too. Yeah, I did some new home sales in the beginning of this year, and everything was virtual. Everything was Zoom. Everyone was like, "What's Zoom?" And Zoom became like an overnight sensation.
Man, if only I had thought about, buying stock in Zoom back in March,
Yeah. It's crazy because I think I even had someone that I guess when you start like either a Robinhood account or something like that, someone that I know ended up, and you get one stock, they ended up getting Zoom. So I mean that was pretty cool. I was like, you should have bought a bunch of those after they gave you that.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, Katie, okay, now that we've done Mastermind, I've talked about your successful real estate career, and obviously people now know what us real estate agents go through to close a deal. What does 2021 hold for you?
My goal for myself is to close 36 transactions this year. So that could be buyer, sell side, really doesn't matter. I prefer to work with buyers. That's kind of that's my love language, is working with buyers. I enjoy searching for properties for them and seeing their face light up when we walk into the one, and getting their offer accepted and managing the home inspection process and everything else. I really enjoy that, the whole job, really. And then handing people keys at the end is like my huge thing. But I do deal with sellers from time to time. I have an investor partner that I work with that I help him buy and sell houses that he flips, and things like that. So my goal is to get 36 done this year. That would be the highest. If I manage to do that, it'll be the highest I've done in a year. It's going to be very busy to get that done. But I know I can do it. And thanks to Wi-Fi in my car, my kids can come along and they're used to that whole, mom's got to go show a house. Let's all hop in the car thing. So nothing new for them. They're on board with helping mom out when needed. So.
Right. Now, let me ask you, since you are taking a different approach than like probably most realtors in the industry, you're going video content marketing. How has it been for you to adjust to be in front of the camera?
It's, when I first started out in real estate, I actually started doing like little Facebook live streams from open houses I would host, or I would do a quick little video or something of a property I was doing an open house for. That's a lot of how agents get started, is by hosting open houses for other agents' listings. So I was kind of already comfortable doing that. And then a lot of my other agent friends saw me doing it, so they started doing it. And then I got to know Brandon last year, who really pushed me to just do more, not just the odd occasional one when you're doing an open house, but do it on the daily, or and it doesn't have to be necessarily real estate related. You just need to invite people into your life and get them invested in your life and see how they hire you. People hire you, not, I don't have a product to sell people necessarily, like a tangible product. I'm not producing anything, but I'm selling myself. And people will work with people they know, trust, and love. And the only way for them to do that is to get to know you and your life and get invested in that. And when they get to see how they're helping you, supports you in your life, like, this is my career. Every time someone buys and sells a house, then I can pay my mortgage, and I can pay my car payment and do things for my kids. So it's kind of a full circle thing. So when people get to see, and then the more they see you, the more you stay top of mind. And video is king on social media. Yep. It pops at the top of news feeds more often, and people will sit and watch and like it. Then people will think, whenever they hear anyone around them say, I need to buy, sell, rent, or whatever, I want it to be a subconscious thing where they think of me and start, handing that person my contact information.
Right.
So
what are you most grateful for right now?
Oh gosh, my clients. I am, because they continue to refer me additional business. Their friends and family. Some of them are repeat clients who've bought and sold with me multiple times. The other agents, my family at Keller Williams in general, like I wouldn't have a business without them.
Yep.
I'm not the agent who does the used car salesman, ads all the time. I'm not doing radio ads, and I'm not doing a lot of postcard mailers and things like that. I depend on other agents knowing me, liking me, and trusting me with their referrals, and knowing that if they just give me, they don't have to think about it again. They're just, they know I've got it. They're going to take care of it. They know I'm going to do right by their client, and which is often a friend or family member. So I wouldn't have a business if it not for the other agents I know who care enough about me to send me business, and my past clients.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes,
because I'm not from this area. I didn't grow up here, so I didn't have a base of people to rely on initially, like the friends and family that you grow up with. Immediately start sending you business because they know you and they're related to you. I started out in this region, completely solo, not knowing a single soul. So yeah, I'll be eternally grateful for every referral I ever get going forward.
Right. That makes it makes the whole difference. It says so much about you though, Katie. It truly does.
And I think the fact that I feel that way is part of why, it's part of the motivation to treat people so well, other than the fact that I just care about making sure people are taken care of. That carried over in my HR career, because you deal with literally the very best and the very worst of times for people. And that's identical with real estate. You're dealing with people having babies and getting married and, doing those happy things, but you're also dealing with downsizing due to various reasons, like losing jobs or the death of someone, or dealing with the sale of a home of someone who's passed. And, you really do deal with the absolute widest gamut of life experience.
Yes, you do.
You have to be able to handle it, no matter what the situation is. But just caring about the people involved in the outcome is, yeah, it's
Right.
everything. It's everything.
It is everything.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, okay, since this podcast is called 8 billion and the premise of it is really about talking to so many people, individuals who are willing to share their story about their purpose and passion in life. With everything you've been up to today, with all the in life, let's just say, and all the career changes, marriage, kids, and all that kind of stuff, and even just, let's just even say the life altering change across the world in 2020. What would, if you had some parting advice for 8 billion people per se, what would be something you'd say?
Never give up. It's okay when something bad happens to you to just kind of sit back and have a good cry and get it out of your system, but don't give up. Just keep trying. Something will happen if you just keep the whole, keep swimming, just keep swimming thing. It's true. It's absolutely true. As an independent woman, I've always found it difficult to reach out and ask for help sometimes. And I'm at 40, almost 42, still have that trouble from time to time. I'm learning to just, when in doubt, just put it out there and say, I need help with X, Y, and Z. And now, thanks to the beauty of social media nowadays, you just put something out there and you get a whole bunch of comments of people willing to just jump in and help, or just recommend you to someone else, and it's amazing to watch people. You know what you're going to get if you don't ask.
Yeah.
So ask for help. Just keep trying. Don't give up. And, there's a million different points in life where I could have just given up and thrown up my hands. And, when my first job in this region didn't work out, I was here for a whole, 2 weeks, but I could have given up and gone back to Michigan and, said, oh, didn't work out, and try to figure out what else to do with my life after graduating college. But I didn't. I stuck it out. And at one point, I even lived in my car for about a week when I was waiting for an apartment to open up. And I had just started my temp job and I had nowhere else to go, but I was not driving all the way back to Michigan and saying I failed. So I slept in my car in a public parking garage for about almost a week. And there, that was a little bit scary. Not gonna lie.
Wow, that is amazing. This was before kids before kids in marriage before?
Yeah, this was long before that. That was right out of college. Yeah.
See, but you have the mental and emotional determination to make it.
Yeah. And of course, and then having kids, of course, you just turn off the switch and you go into mom mode and you just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
To get through the day. And one way or another, you're gonna end up on the other side of the sunrise. So time will continue to pass. The world really hasn't ended because your kid just, soiled through 3 outfits and 1 diaper changing.
Right.
try to remember it's the sleep deprivation talking, but it's okay to have your moment to wallow, but pick yourself back up and dry your eyes clean, because you've got to adjust that crown and keep moving.
Absolutely right. What an amazing way and advice, actually, for the audience. So, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your time, your story, your wisdom, your experience. It's been amazing having you on 8 billion. I'd love to have you back again, and on this podcast. I absolutely had so much fun. So thank you, Katie Cawood. If there's anyone that would like to get a hold of you, either for your real estate services, could you share how they would be able to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. The easiest way is just to email me at katie.cawood. That's katie.cawood @kw.com. You can just Google search me, Katie Cawood, and I will pop up, in your Google search results. And just search. You can search me on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Katie, for being on the 8 Billion podcast. And I am wishing you a fabulous year of so much success.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If it's moved you in any way, please review and share your thoughts, or text me your thoughts at 949-247-2800.